welcome to Confidence on Camera, live with Lottie. And before I kick off the show today, I'm just going to do all of the usual admin that we as live presenters should do and live hosts. First of all, welcome you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Secondly, I'm just going to go to my YouTube now and see if we can see me playing live. Great tip for anybody who's new to live streaming is ideally you want to check that people can hear you on the other end. So actually it's not working it doesn't want to work on my iPad. Technical hitches and glitches. So let me see. There we go. I've got all of my guests' names in here and I haven't even done my own for the search in here. So this is how we would start, folks, is just checking that you are live. Then I can get into the show proper itself. Yes, I have sound. So let me now shut that up. Okay. With the timing as actually, wait a minute, sorry, one other thing I've forgotten to do. Turn the blooming light on. It's the fun of setting up your studio, folks. There's always one last thing that one forgets to do when you set up your studio. So this is all actually quite relevant to the show I want to do today. Because, don't know about you, but with everything going on right now, I've kind of needed a brain break every now and again. And I've been looking at old books and watching old movies, more old movies because my eyes can't really cope with books at the moment. And I came across C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Have you seen it? Well, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe gave me an idea, seeing as I had 3 volunteers, professional speakers, who were willing to come on the show today to get some live coaching, to share their tips and tools as professional speakers, their advice, their knowledge and know-how. We have got years of speaking knowledge and skill. But the great thing is we've also got some next generational learning. And they are going to be live with Lottie today because we've got people in their 20s, people in their 30s, and people a little bit older for myself and one guest. But not only that, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe was one of my favourite books. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, all these beautiful adventures. And guess what? I've got The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe here for the show today. They don't know who's who just yet. They don't know why, because they're just sitting below in the green room. So let me bring on my Lion, my Witch and my Wardrobe. First of all, let me find my lion first. There we go. There's my lion. And he's on in 3, 2, 1. That's Steve Catchick. Wave hello, Steve, while I bring the others on. Here's my witch coming onto the screen too. Hello. And you'll find that she's a very good witch. You'll find out why shortly. And here we have, in 3, 2, 1, my wardrobe. Hello, wardrobe. Let me bring sound on for all of you so you can say hi. I'm just unmuting everybody as they go, folks. So professional speakers 3, do you know why you are the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
No, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Love it, Steve. Well, sitting to your right, my left, is the wonderful Steve Catchick. And you can find him at stevecatchick.com. He is my lion because Steve runs the secret sales force. And I loved a quote I read from Steve. I'm going to be reading these, folks, on my notes. I've got lots and lots and lots of notes here. So I loved Steve's quote from 2019. Service is the new word for sales. So, Steve, I thought from your stevecatchick.com.
Protected that. So it's rather like talking about Olympics could be protected.
Love it, love it, love it. Now, my witch in the room, my white witch, I've called her the white witch. Louise Birchall. Oh, and I've missed an L off the end of your name as well. I do apologise, Louise. Let me see if I can fix that for you. Louise, why do you think you're the witch?
I cast spells and spread laughter and happiness, I hope.
Oh, see, she's got her own brilliant introduction there. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you very much, Lou. And last but not least, my wardrobe, the beautiful Olga Gedane. Go on, say it for us properly, please, Olga. So how do I pronounce your surname? Oh, no, we've lost sound. We've lost sound on you. Now, have I muted you or have you muted you, I wonder? Oh, no, wait a minute. There we go. You're mute. Sorry about that, Olga. That's what happens in live production, folks. So, Olga, why do you think you're the wardrobe?
I have no clue. I'll be honest. I guess probably because I'm always wearing bright and I'm all about matching the branding.
See, I hadn't even thought of that, folks, either. I had a whole different reason. And when she shares her story shortly, you're going to find out why. Because I always think Olga has a couple of missions. I forgot to say, Lou Birchall, by the way, below me, she is a laughter yoga coach. And she is a resilience coach at laughter.ie. I love that. I love that URL. I think it's brilliant. And Olga, diagonally over there to me.
I know why.
Okay, go on, why?
I know. Because I'm dealing with skeletons in the wardrobe.
Yeah, oh, you are indeed. And as a transformational coach that Olga actually is. But actually, Olga, I was thinking, with the analogy of stories, because we're all professional speakers, we know we love stories so much. So with the analogies of stories, I was thinking, because of questions the three of you have asked me, and I know you saw me speaking at the Professional Speaking Association Ireland last weekend, and thank you for your comments and everything, by the way, and what you learned from there. But I kind of thought, actually, you know what? Live and live stream is like Narnia. We kind of open the wardrobe to a whole new world. It's like you opening, all three of you, opening people's minds, but it's almost like in the wardrobe is the weird world of live. And I can be Mr. Tumnus, I can be a fairy, I can be whatever you want me to be today. So you let me know. So, folks, let us kick off with some next gen learning from each of you. Mr. Lion Steve Katchik, our next generational learning, we're learning of all ages, across the ages, cross subjects, cross ages, cross tools. Steve, tell us a little bit about you and what you do, please.
Okay, well, I've known as often as the high impact communicator, because I believe communication is paramount in business, and making an impact in one form or another is absolutely essential. The last year, I spent a lot of time in the customer facing roles. And what I picked up was something that Jerry Maguire said from Dell when he was CEO, that the customer experience will be the next competitive battlefield. Well, the customer experience is the one differentiator that you or any organization has over which you have complete control. And it's made up from moments of truth. And the biggest impact you have are through people interactions. And it's the people I call the secret sales force. In an organization, it's mostly internal for small businesses, speakers, coaches, consultants. Your secret sales force is external. They are your network. So that's the way I'm taking it.
Love it, Steve. And actually, Steve, you were lucky. I hadn't started my timer on time, so you didn't get the beep, 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 beep through there. Because, folks, I've said to everybody, can they deliver a 1 minute story? And then I want everybody here as speakers to give feedback. And if you watching want to give any feedback as we go along as well, please feel free to interact and type a message down below. That would be great. So, Steve, question first of all, is that a story that you usually deliver, like a promo that you would normally say about yourself?
Yeah, actually, the bit about the customer experience I would often use as an introduction to the MC if I'm speaking, because It is a fact. I mean, the customer experience is a competitive battlefield today. Certainly in large organizations, they have C-level execs looking at that. But it's a big field, and I don't talk about all of it. I only focus on people, developing your people, and that's my angle. Good communications, good relationships, understanding the culture, engaging with the people, empowering your people. That's what I focus on, those 5 principles.
Brilliant. So, ladies, for you, if we think about the 3 V's of confidence on camera, the visual impact, the vocal impact, the verbal impact, that's what we see, what we hear, and the words we choose to use. Do you have a full understanding of what Steve does in his story then?
Yeah.
Yeah, says Lou. And can we see if we can get specific? So let's give Steve some feedback on what works for him on screen, and then we can go into, is there anything that could be better for him looking at the 3 V's? So what worked for Steve first of all?
Well, if I can add, because I was more focusing on voice and the verbalization. So I think it's really important, the words which you use, like relationships. And very often what happens as speakers, we are on the stage and very often we show the story. And I know probably it will be not the voice generally, but I think if you could maybe show what you say.
Oh, we've just got you frozen, Olga.
Like,
we just had you frozen. So we need, Olga, you need to, if you're watching, you need to jump back out and jump back in again. and I was just about to interject there and say, actually, we've got to do it in a positive feedback frame and format. So Lou, maybe you could say for Steve, what do you think worked really well? What did you like about the way Steve presented his story there?
I thought he was very confident in what he was saying. He was very clear about what he does and what he wants to do and what his objectives are. So I really liked that.
Great. And so Steve, for yourself, are you happy right now with the way in which you're sharing your story virtually?
Yes, I guess I would normally go on to talk about 5 principles to develop ambassadors, but the 60-second that opening that you gave me was just to give a flavour of what I do, what I talk about, because I also speak on high impact communications, like no power in PowerPoint, and if you misuse it, there's no power in you.
I love that, Steve, because it's for me as an actor and a ex-TV presenter, it's kind of like, why have something else out there distracting when you could be the face on screen and sharing communications and messages that people can understand better by keeping it really simple? There are times when the visual makes an impact, and it's all about impact. And if the visual makes an impact, great. But PowerPoint is meant to be a visual aid, not a written aid. Absolutely, absolutely. And now, Lou, I know that you're fairly new to your professional speaking. So does this all ring a bell for you, what Steve's saying there?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant. While I'm saying brilliant at the same time, I'm just seeing if we have got, if we've got Olga back. Yes, we do have Olga back. And Olga is coming back in 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, Olga, welcome back.
I'm back.
Olga, I was actually saying, Louise was just telling us, what did you like most about what Steve was sharing with us there and how he was sharing it?
Yeah, what I was saying, that I love the usage of words, because I think the words which we're saying from the stage are really, really important. And especially when it is these video recordings or video sessions or video trainings, whatever we do right now in the lockdown, it's extremely important to deliver those words even more powerful way. And what I was just caught up when you were discussing, literally as I just joined, and you said these beautiful words like such as impact. And I think when you don't have this energy exchange in the room with the audience through the video, it's really important to use very impactful words. So it's really good, Steve, what actually you use these relationships words, impact words, secrets, and so on, because those words actually are representing the power. Instead of when some people, just give a general blurb and they just take in time. So that was really, really great. I enjoyed that. Yeah. So really powerful, strong words.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we'd hope for from the high impact communicator. So you're living your brand, as Olga would say. Olga's about the branding, but we'll hear her story shortly. So Steve, from my perspective point of view, the one thing I really love about it's everything that Lou and that Olga have said as well. Backing up on that, it's the fact that there's almost the questioning, and it's the use of intriguing words that I love with you as well. Is that I've seen you speak on stage. Haven't seen you speak on screen quite so much, because we'll talk about that later, about the increase of the video and live stream impact that you're making in the world. But I've always loved the way in which the pace at which you deliver, there's a gravitas, but a brevity in the way in which the words you choose to use have that impact. And I love that energy exchange that you said, Olga. There really is a lovely energy exchange. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'd say, Steve, is that because I have seen you speaking on stage, I get that energy exchange much more from you on stage than I do on screen. Yeah. So I don't want everybody to change or adjust things right now, but I'm thinking you could fiddle around in a little bit after when somebody else is on screen. You could mute yourself and you could shift your camera around if you wanted to. The one thing I'd say for you is, remember, this is a visual medium. What we see first. Think of it like television. Yeah. But as speakers, we are not infotainers, informational entertainment like television is. We are edutainment, educational entertainment, or as my fellow Ladies Go Live founder Tina Vallant always said, inspircators. We are inspirers. We inspire and we educate. So that energy, I think you could bring, Steve, potentially more energy. And the one thing I love, the videos you do have, or the photos that you sent me, the ones with the smile. I know you deal with some very serious business people, Steve, but I know you've also got a sense of humor, because I've seen you at the bar at PSA events. Shh. And I know you smile, and I know you laugh, and I know you joke. So especially at times like this is when you can actually have a bit of fun factor. Like, things are going to go wrong, aren't they?
Well, they did earlier. Before we joined.
Exactly. And we've already lost Olga once. Olga, Lou, does that make sense as the feedback I've given Steve there?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Brilliant. And Steve, so therefore, the one thing I would say to you is, can you get some form of lighting, some form of lamp to give you a bit more light on your right-hand side of your face?
I know, that's the side that's dodgy.
Yes, that's the darker side. Now, I love the setup that you've got, because you've got the window on one side. It's interesting. As my photographer mentor would say to me, the reason why we sit like we have our mouth in the center of the screen, and how we frame ourselves on screen, we do so on television along the same rules as photography, and they divide it into the grids. Your eyes want to be on the line of the top grid. Your mouth wants to be in the middle of the screen. So, but interesting lighting from different sides gives some more interest. So that would be the one thing, visual impact, Steve, that I would add for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for you?
This room is perfect at night when I've got the curtains closed and I can get it just right. But lighting is my challenge right now. Hence I want to talk about equipment.
Great. Well, we'll get on to the tips and tools. Yep. Now, Steve, yes, so specifically the things that you wanted to learn, just share with me then, what was it specifically you wanted to ask about later in the show?
Well, the things like the equipment, inexpensive equipment. I built a purpose-made office inside my garage. It's a cubicle in my garage. Now, it's not much room because I touched the wall behind me there. I've got plenty that way. So it's what equipment I can use in a limited space that's effective and not massive investment. So I've spent a lot in the last 2 years. It's simple, practical things like that. And also, as you say, I'm used to move. I'm used to being on stage more. I've done virtual or online talks, but it's a different feel. I did one this week, actually, at the PSA staffs, and I was standing up. But if you're using slides, and I had some, it's more fiddly. If I'm not using slides, I like it. But it's because I like to not move randomly, but I like the freedom of being stood up and how I can bring that into sitting down. to be more impact again, which is what you commented on.
Yeah, brilliant. And Olga, I know you've done you're building up your live stream and your videos. What have you found about that specifically? Because I want to cover that one right now because it is a visual impact.
Well, what I found out, first of all, it's a professional background is extremely important, because when you have some stuff at the background which is distracting, it doesn't allow people to listen to you. So if it is professional, that's good. If it's not, it's definitely not working. But the most important thing, if you represent your company, you present your brand, I think it's really important to match colors of your branding so people can actually remember you by the colors you're wearing. For example, mine is red and white, and that's why I usually wear on during the important meetings, whether it is video or even stage work, my red and white, because that's my branding. And interestingly, people already remember me by, oh yeah, red, that's Olga, because that's association. And once they remember red is Olga, they also remember what you do, because that's a visual impact. And during the video calls, it's really, really important. And another really important tip, I would say, looking into the camera. You know, like we all get distracted by what's happening on the screen, and you want to look at people, you want to look at yourself to make sure that hair is done well and you look great. But when you look into the camera, you see the connection. But now if I would look at myself, can you see how you lose myself straight away? And that's little tip which I use. And normally what I use is just a little blank paper which I put in front of the screen, so I don't have any chance to get distracted. So these two quite important tips I found out. I have one more, but I can share it later if you want.
Fantastic.
By the way,
I love it.
Is my brand.
I will. I love your purple choices. I was going to say, Steve, is it easier for us ladies? I've got my orange everywhere and my orange lower thirds. Is it easier for ladies than it is for gents? But you said you'd run out of lipstick today, so
Yeah, I know. I ran out. I can't get any anywhere.
Well, that's why we can come with hashtag camera ready face, Steve. You don't need to cake your face with lots of makeup if you don't feel the need for it, ladies. Steve hasn't had to, but I really wish he'd found the purple lippy. But I love those tips. Thank you very much for those, Olga. And the other trick is when you're speaking, if you talk through, connect through to the person, through to who on the other side of the screen. When you're listening, yes, you can look down at somebody else, but when you're talking, this is your communication tool. Think of it like eye contact with another human being. That's what you're doing here. Okay, so now, Lou, you've been sitting there very quietly. I know you're new to videos and to live, but I tell you what, I have been giggling myself, wetting myself, laughing at some of your videos on Facebook. Let's go to you, our white witch, and Steve will come back to answer more of your questions later. Let's listen to the story from our white witch, Lou Birchall. And while she's telling the story, I'm going to change the spelling of her name. So Lou, let's go over to you and put you solo on screen.
Well, I am on a mission to make people happy. I've suffered with depression and anxiety for most of my life. It started in my teens. I was on a huge amount of medication for it up until about 5 years ago. But that all changed when I discovered laughter yoga. And I discovered the amazing positive benefits of laughter. So now what I want to do through coaching, I want to make people happy. So I'm a resilience coach and a laughter yoga leader. So basically humor is a very untapped part of resilience, and it's such an important part of resilience, and people don't talk about it enough. So through my laughter, through positivity, through gratitude, I want to help people be happier and more resilient.
That was very quick, Lou. I'm still fixing up the lower third for you there. Let me see. There we go. It's Lou Birchall and Louise Birchall at laughter.ie. Lou, thank you very much for sharing that and for jumping. Is that your first time solo on screen?
Yes. Well, apart from the videos,
your first time being a guest on somebody else's show.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I feel very privileged, very, very privileged. Thank you very much for joining us today. And by the way, folks, all of the speakers here volunteered when I was speaking at the Professional Speaking Association Ireland meeting last Saturday, and they were the first volunteers to jump on board. This is the time, if you are being invited onto somebody else's show, turn up with everything you need. Turn up with what you can offer. Turn up with the stories you can share. Turn up with your speaker bio, photographs, all the social media links so that the host can help you pitch what you want to. I sell you so you don't have to. It always helps. But I loved, Lou, doing the research for you. How on earth did you get into laughter yoga?
Oh, I was researching this idea that I had for a laughter room in hospital. I thought it would be incredible to have a room that was brightly colored and had videos and books and just completely different from the rest of the hospital. So while I was researching this, obviously I came across Patch Adams and clowns that go into hospitals. And then laughter yoga popped up. And I had never heard of it. I had no idea what it was, but I found out there was a course in Dublin 2 weeks later, so I signed myself up. It's as simple as that. I thought that's right up my street. I need to be a part of this. So that was 7 years ago, actually, 7 years ago this month. And then last year I went to Boston and I trained to become, I'm a laughter yoga teacher now, so I can train other people to become leaders.
Ah, brilliant. Now, Louise, I love the fact that you kind of, it's the link. In tough times, we all watch crazy movies. Patch Adams is a brilliant one. It's a real booster for the mind. But I loved a quote that you had on one of your videos that I watched. You need to give yourself permission and know that it's okay. And I think especially in tough times, tell us a little bit more about that. And then Steve and Olga, if you can listen out for things that you like and things that you're seeing that are working for Louise, please, as well.
Okay. Well, I'm generally a very happy person. Since I started practicing my laughter yoga, I'm very happy within myself. And I do get people asking me a lot, are you always this happy? How can you always have this high energy? How can you always be like this? And the thing is, I'm not. And the days that I wake up and I'm feeling meh, or the days that I can't quite get that smile on my face, or the days that even my laughter yoga practice isn't bringing me out of it, I just give myself permission to just feel what I'm feeling and say, this is me today, and that's okay. And that's really important, because if you're always trying to be happy or you're always trying to be up there, when you come down, you've so far to try and get back up to being happy again. So it's okay just to some days just have that middle ground, and it's okay some days to be down here and come back up to the middle ground, and sometimes you'll be up here and you'll be really high and happy, and then you'll come back down to that middle ground. So for me, the big thing is to just feel what you're feeling. I did a 10-day silent retreat a few years ago, and anybody who knows me will probably find it very hard to believe that I stay quiet for 10 days, but I did, and it was just such an incredible experience. But the biggest thing that I took away from it was a practice of acknowledging your feelings. So if, say, at the moment, a lot of us have so many different emotions going on, if you're feeling anxious, you just take that emotion and put it in front of you and say, I'm feeling anxious today. That's how I'm feeling. And you don't try to make that feeling go away. You don't say, oh, well, I shouldn't be anxious. I've got a lot to be thankful for. And equally, you don't feed it going, well, I should be anxious because all these things are happening. Instead, you just acknowledge, I'm anxious today. That's how I'm feeling. And that's okay. That for me was huge. It was a big turning point in my life.
I know it's without one of the key tips is when you are doing live shows, you never want to age or date the show. That way you can have this as a multi-purpose show going forward. Now, right now we are filming this at the beginning of 2020 during the tough times of COVID. And I know that Lou, her laughter yoga has been helping so many people. And as I said, I could not stop wetting myself. And just in case you're wondering why it says the White Witch, Lou Birchall, laughter.ie, it's because I've got my lion, my witch, and my wardrobe. Tough times looking for crazy things to do for live streams. So we heard from the lion earlier. That was for my White Witch. So lion and my wardrobe. Steve and Olga, what worked for you? Because as I said, Lou is very new to live streaming, just started recording her videos. I've got a couple of specific tips for her, but what did you find worked first of all? And then would you offer her a tip as well? Let's start with you, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, what worked, first of all, was the passion. It was, and not only the passion, the humbleness. There was lots of energy in it. And I think Lou wasn't afraid to admit that there are times when she's not sort of happy. Things are down, and it's okay. It's okay, no problem. That's life. but the energy, and one of the things I like to focus on a lot, especially in talking with developing internal staff, is about energy. When you match the energy, if you're on the phone especially, then it's energy, not so much the visual that you're looking at. And Lou's energy was really high throughout, lovely, well paced. And I'll leave the visual for Olga. I have one or two things on visual, but I will say that the smile at the end was brilliant. I love that. My suggestion though is you when you started off before, you only gave a short intro, but after Lottie asked you some more questions, then you gave us the explanation why you were into laughter.yoga. Because laughter yoga, I thought, what is that? It was so intriguing, and I was hooked. But I wanted to know more at the beginning. It came up a bit later, but I thought, brilliant. I love that naturalness of you have.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, we've lost you, Lottie.
Lottie, I think you're muted.
I am. I'm doing a Lottie. Forget to press my mute button off. No, I was just saying, as I said at the very beginning of the show, I know that a number of speakers in Ireland have kind of gone, this is unusual. This isn't about business. This isn't a normal speaker. Laughter yoga. What are we going to do with a laughter yoga speaker? But I love that what you said there, Steve, and totally agree that bringing that, you've actually got the perfect story behind the message that you're actually sharing, and you deliver it. It shows on your face, Lou. So you can actually, you bring the smile, you bring the energy, you really do. Because remember, this machine steals up to 30% of your energy, because we've gone from 3D on stage to 2D in a frame on screen. So that's why you need to boost your energy. Even if it's a quiet energy, you can still boost a quiet energy and calmness on screen. So does that make sense, Lou?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Olga, let's go over to Olga now and see, Olga, what worked for you first, and then do you have any specific tips?
I must say that Steve absolutely stole my feedback. Absolutely stole my feedback, because I was going to say, Lou, I absolutely love the way how you speak about what you do. It is that big, huge smile. It is those shiny eyes. It is the way how you play with your voice as well, because magically you were going up and then you were going down. And that was really beautiful, because we not only watch, but we also listen. And many people, they're auditory, actually rather visual. So when you play with your voice, this is when you get their attention. And I love that. And Steve is right. The passion is there. The story is there. Everything is there. Literally everything is there. I was just like that, glued to you. Completely. I loved listening to you. That's great. In terms of little tip, I guess I appreciate it's very, very new thing to you, especially when you never done it over the technology, which is very, very strange thing to do in general. Probably the eye contact. I appreciate you were looking at us, but I'm not sure if you were looking into the camera. That's only one thing. But otherwise, honestly, with your energy, with your passion, with the way how you did it, that wasn't even that important. I guess if you wouldn't have that energy and you'll be like very much like laid back and very quiet, then it would be different. But with the way how you delivered, spot on, absolutely spot on. Well done, girl.
Thank you.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And I totally agree with both Steve and with Olga. Lou, I think one of the things when you start off speaking, because this is the start of your speaking career. So this is why I wanted to bring these three superstars on screen with me today, is because it's not just confidence on camera, isn't just presenting in front of here. It's actually bringing that whole years of knowledge and learning and expertise from the stage onto the screen, or from the screen onto the stage. You may end up, Lou, with starting off your journey during shutdown times here in Ireland, doing all of this on screen and be brilliant on screen, and then be stepping onto a stage, and you'll be flying by the time you do that. One tip I've seen from watching you, Lou, for another time is every single video that you've done, you have filmed in portrait. So that's holding your phone up vertically. What that means is when it's on a wide screen, think of this screen like a TV screen. So landscape, holding your phone on its side, is much, much more impactful for the viewer. Because remember, the only reason you're doing this is because you are, as Steve would say, serving your viewer. You're coming with sharing some information, some learning, some tips, some support, some guidance, some help, whatever it is, and some laughter. So by turning your camera around to landscape rather than portrait, you avoid getting those weird black lines. If you're doing Periscope or Instagram TV, then yes, you can have it portrait, because that is a square image that you're going to see on those particular tools. I think TikTok is the same as well if you're using that. But Olga, you might know, is TikTok the same?
It is the same, yeah, it is.
Okay, so that's portrait. Other tools, think TV screen. Because then you can also, if you do a great show on Facebook in landscape, you can also save the video, you can repurpose it afterwards, put it up to YouTube, you can put it onto a binge TV network or something like that afterwards too. Lou, does that all make sense for you?
It does. Thank you very much, everyone, for the feedback.
And then can you
share
share
one more comment for Lou?
Oh, sorry, Steve, I spoke over you.
Just one comment. When you were on full screen coming to us, it was a bit blurred. Now I'm not sure whether your camera lens needs cleaning, because it wasn't as clear focus, or whether your bandwidth is a little bit weak. If it is, perhaps try connecting an Ethernet port directly in rather than Wi-Fi, and limiting what you've got on what's open on the machine, so it's not using resources, because the image was just not as crisply clean as it could have been. And there may not be much you can do about that, I don't know, but perhaps just try and make sure the lens is clean.
Great. Thank you.
I never thought of that, Steve. And again, why I like having technical people who jump on a live stream with you. It's brilliant on a live show. Lou, here you go. My brain started to go mushy now, thinking of the questions, because I loved what Steve was just saying there. And Olga, thank you very much for your feedback there for Lou. Lou, any kind of wrap up on that? And then are there specific questions you wanted to ask when we get to the last bits of the show?
Oh, everything. I wanted some tips on, like Steve said, the equipment. I have no idea where to even start on the right equipment. The lighting, I have that problem where, this side of my face is the window, so the light is coming in. And yeah, it's the presenting and promoting. Once you have all the things done and you have your wonderful video, how do you actually promote it?
Steve and Olga, I'm going to throw that to you. What do you normally do before now you are sort of using video tools more and live tools more? What do you do if you're doing a show or an event?
Well, there's two questions there, presenting and promoting.
We'll focus on the promoting. Sorry, on the promoting side of things first.
I'm not the best to talk about marketing. I have been weak at marketing. I've noticed Olga's been very strong, very good at marketing. So perhaps I'll ask Olga first, then just so I can see if there's anything I can add to it. Okay, well, let Olga, you cover the promotion tips that you've got, and I'll add any on that I think of. And then Steve, you can talk about any presenting tips that as the seasoned pro speaker of years that you are. So Olga, over to you.
Well, I must say that promotion was never my strong side until I learned that you don't have to even promote once you have become an influencer, and once you have people who really love you and with whom you share lots of value. And it is about building lots of value, sharing lots of value with people, so they actually are in tune with you and who you are. Because then wherever you put out, wherever you release, people are hungry to buy from you. And to give an example, why celebrities, for example, Britney Spears, David Beckham, everybody else, why once they become big, why they are releasing the perfumes, their own clothing lines and everything else, because then they know their followers will just go and buy things. So I would say the most important thing, as going back to Steve, is building relationships with the audience. Because when it comes to promotion, yes, you can use Google ads, you can use Facebook ads, you can use social media, but without people falling in love with you and following you, not just in terms of number of followers, it could be just little amount of followers, but they love you and they wait for new content from you, and they wait for the new course from you, for new ebook from you, then you got it. But it is about sharing what you know with them, genuinely about them. Like some people say, me, and I say, no, That's about the audience. Give them what they want, that will love you and that will buy from you. So promotion starts with the love from your audience.
And actually, Olga, I know that I loved your word influencer there. I think at the moment, influencer is having a kind of like, without trying to date this particular show too much, but we have to because of the nature of early 2020s. Influencer is having a kind of, do we trust, do we not kind of mode at the moment? Because you mentioned David Beckham and there's all sorts of stories you hear in the media about them. Are people ethical? And I've also seen people saying it's ethical marketing, whereas actually, no, it's not really. And I think with your laughter yoga, Lou, and why I've got the white witch below is I know and trust by watching you that you live what you do. And these tools can give the sense of of you. And that's why you have to come on here and be the best you or the crummiest you, whatever you are that day. I've been in floods of tears. And that's one with your video the other day that you are willing to share how it really is and what's true. And talking of being willing to share, I love the fact, Olga, I'm going to look at this one. You have got a new 4-week course starting from freelancer to influencer. And because of what's going on right now, you're taking £200 off the price of the course. So you can go to, I'll put up Olga's links and everything later on. You can find that out for her. But I think that the biggest thing for you, Lou, is to start simple. And I think from you doing the videos, just doing them and do it and do it. You start, you go live, then you grow live, both audience, skills, knowledge, know-how. Then you aim to pro live. So set up the lighting, the studio, multiple cameras. There are many, many of our speakers who use multicam. I've seen artists, my lovely artist friend, Kathy Nolan, who drew the cartoon for me here. She actually has a separate camera, which as she's drawing, so she can be talking to the camera here. And then she has another camera over the pictures that she's drawing. So that's getting on to the pro live level using tools like Be Live, StreamYard, Lula TV. There's a whole variety of tools at different prices. I've just come across my favorite tool, which I could never afford, which is a training tool called myquest.co. And myquest, they call themselves an active learning protocol tool. And it's within the tool, you can set projects, you can set missions, you can have a chat room, you can have separate teams, you can do all these amazing things, but you are looking at a couple of thousand investment. Lou, have you applied for the Irish LEO local enterprise office new business? It's the digital, it's trading online voucher, the TOV. Have you applied for one of those yet?
No.
Okay, well that's one way that you can help yourself get your website going, get your videos going more. But if you like doing the videos, also a tool like Designer with a double R on the end, designer.io. Designer has the capabilities, you can send your video up and it sends you back a transcript. That way you've got your blog post already done. One thing I would say for getting going and promoting the show, actually, no, I'm going to pass that over to Steve about no, sorry, done the promoting. Sorry, I'm on the promoting here. Look, Olga was talking about the promoting, is keep it simple for you as well. Find the one tool that you love and learn to use that. Don't try and do everything at the same time. Just find one tool. And what I'll do for a show, it took me an hour yesterday just to produce this show, just to get it set up, get people's photos on board, get the texts written in that I want to show as lower thirds. But it also can take up to a week with even with one guest to properly plan, promote, produce and repurpose a show. That's my friend Jenn Nelson's live stream life cycle, because that's the ethical side of things. We always quote where tips came from. So that's enough from me about that. Steve, let's go over to you about some presenting tips then, as that's one of your jobs as the influential communicator, high impact communicator.
One thing I'll just add on promoting is that I don't think, because your market is going to be mostly on things like Facebook, it won't be LinkedIn. I think you don't need the paid ad so much. Have a group, post regularly on Facebook and just build up that, and post simple short videos will help. On the presenting style, I'd say, normally I think you'd be better off standing up for what you're talking about, perhaps. Having your camera up high, using, if you get a camera stand, if you need to, just put tables on top of tables to put the laptop on, whatever you need. Depends if you need the laptop in front of you or not. I would say also have some props. Simple props you can demonstrate will help you when you're presenting. That might emphasize the laughter yoga. And it may just be, you don't need to have slides. You just might have a photograph, a big photo you can hold up. The main thing I think is to have a very clear message for each video you're doing. Just one point. And just think, what is it you want from that point? How do you want to impact the audience? What do you want them to think, feel, or do as a result of it? And that's all it is. It's one point. And many of us, myself included, have made the mistake of trying to cram too much in. So keep it simple. And that's probably the best thing that most speakers go wrong at and that most speakers strive for. Keep it simple, one clear point. The next video can do another point or re-emphasize the same point.
Yeah, I actually love that you said about standing up, Steve, because I'm finding it very strange to be sitting down doing something like this. I've done a few Toastmasters speeches over the last few weeks, and I'm the only person in any of those meetings who actually stood up to deliver my speech, but I couldn't do it sitting down. I feel inhibited.
I don't like sitting down talking if I'm helping. No. I did a talk last week standing up, but it was only fiddly because I was using slides and trying to get the best combination. But if I'm not using slides, I would much rather stand up.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. It's and again, when you have guests on your show, that everybody is speaking the same language as you are. Right. Thank you so much for that, Lou, for sharing that. So let's get on now to our final guest, who's been very patient waiting to share her story, but has been sharing wonderful tips and advice along the way. So let's find out what our wardrobe from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Open the doors. What's behind? What will you find? Olga, tell us your story, please.
Thank you so much, Lottie. Well, my story is about opening those doors. And I always show it with example of like a diver. So myself and that person who is feeling a bit in life, they were working really hard for something and they succeeded and they hit the limit. Or they were educating themselves, growing in personal development, and yet they still hit the ceiling. And they feel like I could possibly do more, but why am I not succeeding in my relationships, or maybe in my business, or maybe in my personal life? So what I do with them, we go through, if you look at that, through layers of limiting beliefs and stigmas and limitations in terms of what your family taught you. We go through stories and we go through normalities, if you can call it that way, right? We go through bad experiences, we go through memories. So basically we go through all those skeletons, all those little skeletons which are living in their mind, and we eventually go to the rock bottom of the ocean where we find those oysters, and we open them up and we bring out those pearls of their potential. And this, if I can say it in a story, that would be that, because all of us, we have beautiful pearls inside of us, which we never discovered yet, which we haven't found, which we haven't used. But we all came to this world, on this planet of Earth, with a gift which should be passed on to others. And this is what I do. I help people to find their gift. I help people to find their passion, their pearl, which they can usually pass on to others, pass on to their relationships, to their business, and pass on, first of all, to themselves, and allow themselves to shine through.
I love the pearls of wisdom. And actually, Olga, one of your videos that you had recently, you were one video, fantastic interview that you did. I've got a tip on that for afterwards, but I loved your quote. Let me read it out. There's no such thing as a due date on an old story.
Yeah.
It's up to you to change it. And that just resonated with me there. So, Steve, over to you first. What did you find worked for Olga in sharing her story there?
What I loved, I think, was the energy and animation when Olga was telling her story. She was using gestures. She was going with it. You could see the smile. You could see the emotion in there, the energy. I could feel the passion coming across. And I think the wardrobe is very apt, because every time I've seen Olga, I've seen her a few times, she's always immaculately dressed. And she's always attractive. And I don't just mean attractive looking, I mean she attracts people to her through her energy and through her enthusiasm. So that's what I really like. Can I give one suggestion, one tip at this point? Is that sometimes when Olga was emphasizing something and really getting involved, she'd come forward a lot like that to emphasize the point. Now, on stage, it may be a lot easier because it's subtle. On camera, suddenly you're right in front of the camera. So just be aware of, as you're emphasizing, you're getting so involved, and suddenly go, and this really counts. Just being aware of that.
That's really good tip. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really valuable.
Love that, Steve. And actually, Olga, one of the key reasons on TV that we would just being aware, because it relates to your question, Steve, that you wanted to know about movement. Think you are filling the frame, and what we need to do, stepping from stage to screen, is we must never be afraid to fill the frame. But how and where you fill the frame is appropriate to the energy, the story, and the style in which you're presenting it. So, for example, if Olga is going to come up and be very close into camera, it's almost like, shh, don't tell anybody, I've got a secret. And it's either that or you. I tell you what, yes, you have got something to do today. Do it. It's kind of you're either filling the frame with your face. That's called an extreme close-up. Think of what happens in a drama or a movie. The only time you ever get this kind of angle on the face, and it is normally from your shoulders or the bottom of your chin up to the top of your head. I can't quite do it properly because I'm standing at the same time, but think of it like a movie. So if you want the scene and the mood you're setting to be secretive or dark and intriguing or demanding or being not being bullish, because we never want to be bullish on camera, but to be super encouraging, but to really draw people in, then you can have your face full on frame. Normally, the ideal is a mid shot from here. I showed them this on Saturday, but I use the wide angle lens. Appears more 3D. If I don't have the wide angle lens, then I have a tighter shot, but I don't have so much room. And you can see here, it's a slightly flatter shot. It's more 2D. So with the wide angle lens, I can give more view and more depth to the angle. But with that, I then need to tilt it down slightly so I don't waste all the space above my head. Keep repeating this in every video. So think of the mood, Olga. One thing to do, though, is to be aware you're resting on something, that you're not shaking a desk. So you need to, one way to do it is to, Steve, this could work for you. It's called being on the front foot. Rather like you stand on stage on the front foot, like with a forward energy, you can actually sit on your chair with never leaning back, because that's slumping and blocking everything. So sit up, sit forward, think your energy is projecting up and out. And that gives you that sense of confidence, gives you that sense of ownership, gives you that sense of stability. And often I'll tuck one leg under and one leg forward. That just gives me balance. And I know my wheelie chair isn't going to wheel around everywhere. Uncross your legs, uncross your legs, uncross your arms. Does that help for you? Actually, Steve, for you, for your questions, and for Olga, does that help?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah. Thank you.
So let's find out, Lou, for you as somebody new who's seeing Olga for the first time, what works for you for Olga?
Oh, I just loved that pitch. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved your energy. I loved your enthusiasm. You're absolutely beautiful as well. I just thought everything about it was absolutely amazing. I was just as you said before, you know, when you create that content, people are just hungry for what you're going to say next. I was sitting here just wanting to know what you were going to say next. I thought it was beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you again, when you're being given fabulous feedback like that as a professional speaker, polite to say thank you. You're allowed to take it on board and say thank you very much. There's no embarrassment or shyness here. So Lou, was there anything that you think Olga could have done better for you?
No,
Or even better.
I really loved it. I did. I loved her enthusiasm, how much she wanted to help people came across, how she wanted to help people find their gift, find that pearl. All of that came across. It was quite infectious. I loved it.
Olga, does that help you?
It does. Thank you.
Brilliant. I love it. This is the whole point of doing live shows. We can all be doing this for each other, the support. Yeah. Now on that one, there's two things I'd say for you there, Olga, is same as with Steve. If you can get yourself, again, I haven't got perfect lighting today because I know it's very bright coming in from the window, but if you can get yourself a small light on your face, one of the tricks, on the Professional Speaking Association, we are all members of the PSA UK and Ireland. So we have access to this lovely video, the Video Hub. There's a couple of videos I did for the Expert series. One of those videos is actually all about how you set up. And Steve, it might be good for you. I've got these pop-up screens and it appears there are lower thirds with the names of different screens that you can have on the back of your chair, or the blue screen that you've probably seen me, you may have seen me use before. A number of other speakers use a drop-down wall. I know last year's President Lee Jackson, he's actually got a curtain on the back of a wall, and it's like a blind, and it slides down. So that could be a useful idea for you to give a backdrop. Two things: never light the backdrop. Again, from my photographer legend friend. Light you, not the backdrop. All those halos that were on all the videos in 2015, 2016, with the black backdrop and a halo around every man's head. It's kind of like, been there, done that. The other thing I was thinking for you, Olga, is, that was it, helping. My energy coach said to me, Lottie, and I was talking about this briefly last Saturday, one thing we never realize, as speakers on screen, we are giving out and sharing just as much energy, or we should be, as if we were on stage. Potentially even more. Because if you're self-producing, you're having to look to see, oh, has anybody left a message? Oh, have I got to do anything? Oh, I've got to mute my microphone and so nobody hears me typing. Oh, I've got 50 million things to do. So you are actually investing a huge amount of energy. So one thing that Donna said to me, Donna Cullen, she did a show with me a few weeks ago. I kept turning her sound off on her because we were sharing a microphone. Fun things like that. But she was saying that it's key for us doing virtuals and live streams to shift our language, less helping, less giving, more guidance, empowerment, as Steve said. So you're guiding, you're empowering, you're enhancing, you're enlightening, you're inspiring, but these are mutually shared energy words. So rather than I help you do, I guide you to, I mentor you to. So see if you can shift in the language some of that. Steve, have you got anything to add on to that? Because I know that's all part of your world.
No, I think it's emphasizing, it's adding those emphases. I think you put it across quite well, really.
Does that all make sense for you?
It totally makes sense, yes, because I just realized that very often actually I would use the word I empower people, and I use the word help, yes, but don't know why I haven't mentioned it here. Because yes, I like all that combination of words, but like one of the favorite words which I use very often is empowering. And I have no clue why I haven't used it here, because that's one of my favorite words, because this is what my clients tell me very often, Olga, you empowered me. And that became almost like my word, but I have no clue why I haven't said it here. Really don't know.
You did actually say it once, Olga. You did actually say it once, and actually that works in really nicely with what Steve was saying. Is one of your videos, Steve, I saw you on stage. It was your show reel, I think. And you were mentioning how the words that people use for you, those are some of the words that you should be using for yourself, not words you'd like people to describe you as. Well, when you start, Lou, yes, you do. You use the words you want them to say about you. but I love that. Can you explain that a little bit more, Steve?
Yeah, actually, that was talking about what are you known for? Part of it is your culture or brand, and the brand is not what you want. It's not just our colours. It's nothing to do with that. It's what other people say about you. So some years ago, I was asked. We were told in the program I was on, ask people what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what can you be relied on to do, what can't you be relied on to do. And they didn't like answering that because they don't like being put on the spot. But the best one is, what do others say about you when you're not in the room? And that allows the person to pretend it's not their view, but actually give their view about what they're thinking of you. And that lets you know what people are really knowing about you. And it actually becomes, you can base it, that is your brand.
I love that stuff. It's funny, you can see all of us are kind of, every now and again, all of us are jotting notes down. You see us looking down. One thing when you are jotting notes down, being aware you are always on screen, you are always seen. So when you jot notes, what you might have noticed is I never kind of look down and do this completely. I kind of tilt. I do the TV chin tilt. So I can see what's down here, but I can look up without having to turn my head and the irritation of the hair flopping across my face. What works? What could irritate your viewers? What are the distractions? So it's the same when you interview somebody. Rather than having to turn your head left and right, that's one thing I was going to say for your interview, Olga, is you could have set it up. If you set yourself up slightly behind your guest, so they're slightly closer to the camera, and you do the chin tilt. So you never turn the head like this. You tilt the chin. So, or the other way. So you're always kind of, your chin and your mouth is always talking towards the camera lens. So you never fully turn to them. You give them your eyes so they think that you are paying 100% attention to them, because that's key when you're having interviews with people. But when we're doing interviews like this, that's what we said at the very beginning. Yes, when you're talking, you connect through the camera lens. When you're listening, yes, that's when you can take the time to look at other people. But by having the guts to light your face bright, then people will see more. But the eye contact is golden triangle, where people look on screen. Eye contact is where they see the trust. That's what happens first. And if you are doing shows for #inclusion for deaf people, they want to be able to see your mouth moving, just in case you don't have subtitles on a live show. So Olga, does that make sense? And what are the key learnings that you've just picked up there that you could do for yourself?
I definitely picked up the usage of wording to replace help with more empowering words, as a guidance, as mentoring, as inspiring and empowering, which is one of my favorite words. But the big tip actually, Lottie, about a chin tilt. I never even thought about this. I never even knew about that. And because I do lots of sessions with my clients over Zoom, I would say about 70% of my day, that's actually sessions with my clients one-to-one. And I'm sure I'm doing a lot of tilting. So now we'll have to just learn how to do this chin tilt.
And in the TV world, there's the interview chin tilt. And then there's the noddies of the reactions. I spoke about these on the other week as well, of your reactions. So when somebody's saying something, you're going,
sure.
You actually need a really good exercise. I used to put TV presenter students on camera for 10 minutes. And they would have to, for the first few minutes, we'd have the rest of the group actually shout out moods and feelings to them. So that, like, everything from hilarious to embarrassed to, oh my gosh, to demanding. So we used, there's a whole list, and actually in my book, there's a whole list of moods and feelings that you can try to look demanding, or feel, when was the last time that you were really demanding from somebody, that they do this, but you were demanding in a cheeky way? Come on. What did your face actually do? Because this, when you fill the frame, this is where people look on screen. Yes, you want to have the energy, like you were saying, Steve. You like moving around on stage. The trick is, it's flow movement. Go with absolutely. The flow.
I always say move with purpose. You don't move for the sake of it.
Yes, always move with purpose and always gesture for a purpose. Yeah. The difference is on stage, you'll say there's 2 points, but that's out of shot. So what I would always say is bring gestures that make a point, like my first point, my second point. That's hidden by the book behind, so make sure that you can see them, but bring them closer into your body. Unless you're going to go, you, yes, you. I'm talking to you, folks. Think of the camera as an additional tool to the communication. Move with a flow, move with purpose, but move slightly slower than you would normally, because if you move too quickly, that's just going to be a blurring distraction. So again, think logical movies and think of the story. We're speakers. We love the stories. We love the flow. So what gestures and what bit of fun can you bring in by doing something stupid with your hands? Does that make sense for your questions earlier, Steve?
Yeah, can I just mention quickly, when you talked about certain people had to stay on camera for 10 minutes, when I did my NLP trainers training, the first week we weren't allowed to move apart from our head. We couldn't move any part of our body to present. And at one stage we had to hold the attention of 6 or 7 people in front of us without saying a word and without moving. And they had to put their hand up if they felt they weren't engaged with you or you weren't engaged with them. So that really puts you on the spot to keep engagement when you can't speak or can't move. It's hard to not move. I don't move much on stage, not for the sake of it. I do believe in moving with purpose. That drummed home to us. Move with purpose only.
I totally agree with you, Steve, on that. Though I think, Steve, as we said at the very beginning, for you, you could actually afford to move a little bit more. You can actually afford to bring your sense of humor that you have to a bit more to the screen. And once you've got your backdrop set up and once you've got your spacing, I used to have literally a backdrop right behind me. So I couldn't move backwards. I couldn't move forwards. Yeah. But that's where perhaps one of these 3D lenses might work for your screen once you've got a wide screen.
I have got the backdrop that fits on the chair. I just think I don't like it. It doesn't work on most chairs. Also, if I just move a little bit, the backdrop wobbles. And if you use if you're using a virtual background, then the background is going wobbly. Most of the time, I'm quite happy with my bookshelves for most things, but sometimes I think I will have to look at another backdrop. And I like the idea of a roller blind. That it would have to be an expensive, wide and long drop one, but I think that would be a lot easier than anything else.
I'll show you. Oops, she says, as I'm turning my camera around, I'll show you on one of the videos, Steve, that blue backdrop in the background. Yeah. You can see vaguely in the distance over there. That is a pop-up. It was about $70 or $80 or 60 or 70 pounds, I think. That was the best thing I've invested in because it's double-sided. It folds down, so it's like one of those little TV screens, pop-up screens. Yeah. It's good for you right now, but you need to be aware that you have never got the shelving downwards popping out of the top of your head, or if you were higher up, that the shelf came from ear to ear. So those are the things to be aware of.
It didn't help, but I forgot to change I've got the laptop on the laptop stand, and I've got 2 laptops. One's the bigger one, but this is the better one. And I forgot to put it up higher to get the camera and everything looking more square at me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it now.
There's all sorts of things you could use as risers. I know we've had people who've, one of the lovely speakers, her husband, Chantel, her husband made her a lovely riser. I've got a thing called a lappy, L-A-P-P-Y, but I used to use this. This was IKEA. IKEA's for that. I've used boxes before, and actually the best, somebody was asking me at the weekend, the best investment ever was one of these old cookery book stands. Again, from IKEA, to put all my notes on when I'm presenting. So then everything around you is laid out, so you never have to. Everything's in its own place when you're going live.
I've got a laptop stand, collapsible one you can fold up, and you can put it at different heights, so it tilts the laptop, which brings the camera up. I just should have put it on the highest height for this call. I forgot to change it from the previous thing I did.
That sounds like my lappy. I'll just put the lappy.com. Luckily enough, ordered one for my husband, and they sent us two.
Oh, lovely.
Very nice. Oh, well, folks, I could keep chatting to you for absolutely ages. So thank you so much for sharing your speaker stories with us today. We didn't get to do them again because we kind of got onto the tips as we went along. And I loved hearing the advice from each of you, being the expert speakers that you are in your fields as well. So are there any final specific tips from your learning? Let's start with you, Lou, because you're beginning. Any tip that you would share? Because I love about your laughter tips, and any learning that we haven't yet covered today that we could maybe look at another time.
I've learned so much today. I have so many notes scribbled here. I think the biggest thing that I learned from today, I woke up this morning dreading this, thinking, why on earth did I agree to do this? This has taken me so far out of my comfort zone, and I don't want to do it, and how will I let Lottie down? And I am so glad that I did it. So I think my big tip for today is do what scares you.
Do what scares you and laugh in the face of it. Come on. How would you do a yoga laugh?
One of my big things that I love from laughter yoga is we go, very good, very good, yay!
Okay, here we go, folks. 1, 2, 3. Very good, very good, yay! I love it, because if we can't laugh at ourselves on screen, we're never going to have a sense of humor about ourselves, and our viewers are probably going to get very bored of us very quickly. And laughing is the best way to overcome any nerves or maximize your nerves. Thank you very much for that, Lou. Olga, any specific tips that you would share before we go, and your biggest learning from the day?
Well, the biggest learning of the day was definitely the usage of the head, the tilting, and the wording. That's for sure. This is the best what I've got from today, and I will be definitely using that more and practicing, remembering about you and about the wording as well. Thank you, Steve. But another tip which I would love to share is, I think, Lou, what you mentioned in the morning, you were really stressed how it's going to go and you didn't know what to expect. And what I learned, when we do these presentations, when we do video recordings, so whatever we do on camera, we always try to be perfect. But there's no such a thing as perfect. And actually, nobody ever knows how it should be. And that's what I learned. Just do it. Because if you just do it, you will perfect it eventually. You will learn how to do it better, because you will possibly rewatch your videos, which I don't particularly like enjoying, watching my own videos. I don't really like doing that. But if you do rewatch your videos, then you learn more and more. And by doing that, you're already building trust of people. You're already giving them value. And think about it. We always know something more than others need to learn from us. So every time you share something, every time you do a video, every time you do an interview or something, that means you're giving away value. And this is how you're building trust from people. And it's being you, authentic you. And that's what I meant by influencer. Not influencer who is sharing about, oh, look at my car, look at my house. No, authentic influencer who is caring about people, who is caring about how to give more value, how to inspire, empower, guide, and mentor. I used all those words. So, I'm practicing already.
I love it, love it, love it. We always said there's no such thing as try, because if you try, it's actually really difficult to try to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to watch yourself. The only way that you can ever improve is by watching you. So that's why in the book, and all my notes online, all my feedback forms, everything you can get at confidenceon.camera, and you can download forms to give yourself positive, frame-focused feedback on yourself. So Steve, to finish us up today, what are your specific learnings from today? Have we missed anything else you'd like to look at in the future?
No, I think Olga said it really. It's really just do it. Always, I'll use an acronym, ABI, not AB. ABC of sales is always be closing. This is ABI, always be improving. Just do it. Stage time, stage time, stage time. You may not have the right equipment. It may not be good, but you know what? It's going to get better and it can't get worse. And I always say, and because I've been a member of Toastmasters as well since 2004, and I always say to people who start off the first time, I've never yet seen the floor open up and swallow them. And it's going to be the same on stage. We just got to do it and it will get better. It's really going to get worse. There will be days when it's not worked well. Okay, big deal. So yeah, there's equipment to get. I've got reasonable equipment. I already have invested in some. I don't have everything, and I'll invest in others, and I'll just try out a bit at a time.
Great. And Steve, very happy to stay on and have a chat with you. Actually, one thing from promotions. Thank you. I love that always be improving, Steve, by the way. And so thank you all for sharing the crawler I've got here, the tips that you've got on 3 V's of your lifestyle presenting: the visual, the vocal, the verbal impact. Thank you for sharing your advice and your knowledge and know-how on all of those to my super speakers for today. Steve, very happy to stay on. 2 things, 2 promo tips. Always remember to catch a screenshot. So what you want to do is you want to get all your speakers doing something silly and fun. Doesn't have to be live in the show. Then we could do it. Should we do it now, folks?
Go on then.
Go on then. I want to have everybody do it. Let me get my screen, my Sniply tool. So I've got a snipping tool on my computer. So pull a silly face, everybody. Okay, now that has come across on the screen. So this is always one that you could use for branding, for marketing. Another tip that I would say to people is to make sure, I actually sent it out to the team. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to close this. Let me move this because I can't see you right now. Let me close that down for right now. Think about your broadcast release agreements before you go live with people. Yes, you can do it through a Facebook message conversation as long as you download and save that conversation. Yes, you can get an agreement through an email. But Steve, did you, and Olga, I know you've probably seen speakers agreements before. What did you think of the broadcast release agreement that I sent to you?
I didn't see it.
Oh, that was the job form I sent via email to you all.
Right, I'll double check that
good.
because I just said it on Facebook Messenger. But yes, I didn't see it. I was going to ask you to see a copy of that actually.
That was actually created by Sarah Fox, who's a fellow PSA UK. She was a president up north, actually, at the same time I was president here in Ireland. So Olga, you did see it. Did it make sense?
Yeah, it was very easy to sign, first of all, because you could do that electronically. Because one thing, what honestly people nowadays still do, they expect people to print out, sign, scan back, and this is too much effort. It's too much effort nowadays. So yeah, to be able to sign it electronically was the best thing.
Yeah.
And that was on a tool called Jot Form. I'm not sure what the end of it is, but Jot Form, and I'm spelling it wrong. That is the best tool. The live legals are going to this year become more and more important. Over the years, we as live streamers have kind of been a bit about it, but a couple of years ago, that's when live legals, as we call them, became more important. I interviewed Sarah Fox a number of times. She's the 500-word contract lawyer in the UK, so she was our EU and UK-based legal, and then we had Mitch Jackson in the US who was covering the live legals from that side. by having a jot form, something that people can sign. You can sign it with your finger on an iPad or on a phone, or you can use your mouse on a computer. And you just literally set up the statement on one page, tickable statements. And all of those statements came from the ethics, the guidance from the PSA legal speaking that we use from within our professional speaking community by Sarah. So she's the one page contract expert. So think of what you need to have. I always talk about mutually beneficial use, and that, of course, if you'd like a copy of the video, all you have to do is to request it, the video or the audio, request it afterwards. You can repurpose as a podcast. All we ask is that each of us positively, mutually share links, social media connections, so that we can actually have viewers and reach out. Go live, grow live. And this is more of the pro-live side of things, because we all ultimately want to thrive live. Yeah. So thank you so much to all of you, because we've gone an extra bit. Did you know that we've been here for nearly an extra half an hour, folks?
Yeah. That was good.
So let me, just before we go, give everybody a last plug. So Olga Gedane, New Life Kickstart. She's got her special offer on her From Freelancer to Influencer page. You can go to newlifekickstart.com and you can find her there. Steve Katchik, the secret Salesforce expert. And Steve, you can actually hold on a second. Let me come back to these. My lion, stevekatchik.com. That's where you can find Steve. And my white witch from My Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, from the adventures beyond in Narnia of live stream. My white witch, Lou Birchall from laughter.ie. That's where you can find Lou. As my battery is running low and I have to plug in, woohoo, while I'm beeping. And everything changes while it's all running low. That's the side so that we need to get off screen. And then lastly, folks, my wardrobe, Olga Gedane from .com. And she's based in the UK as well, as is Steve. And Lou is based here with me in Ireland. So we've had an international theme. Are you all going to go off and read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and think of yourselves in a live Narnia now?
Definitely will.
Well, thank you all so much. And thank you to everybody who's joined us here on YouTube. And we will be putting this out as a watch party, hopefully at 1:30, if I can download it and upload it all in time, on Facebook. So you'll find it on Confidence on Camera. So thank you very much to everybody. Big shout out to you all, and hope you have a lovely, staying safe weekend. Thanks, guests.
Thank you.
Bye.